What's up, guys? BradThomas from goldboys.com. College football season is coming to an end. We have just one game left, and that's the College Football National Championship. But before I get into the games, I want to thank our sponsor, Sleeper Picks. Remember, use code GOLDBOYS for up to $100, or as always, you can use code BradThomas. I stumbled over my words a little bit in the opening because, as you could imagine, I am a sad Alabama fan, but probably not as sad as some would believe. It was a great Rose Bowl. Alabama played probably as poorly as they possibly could, and Michigan showed they were the number one team in the nation, and the Tide were ousted from the college football playoffs in overtime. The Sugar Bowl was great too. Washington proved that their offensive line, the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line, is one that you should not mess with, and Michael Penix did well, throwing for over 400 yards. Now in this game, the national championship game played in Houston, Texas, many want to know, are the 4 points that Michigan is laying too many? Can Washington's offensive line hold up against a team who made Alabama's offensive line look like a bunch of third graders? That's a question that's going to be hard to answer. I think that if you want to take a straight money line bet, betting Michigan is probably the easiest and the most simple way to go. Michigan defensively are stout. Offensively, they run the ball with extreme success, have a good wide receiver, one of the better wide receivers in college football in Roman Wilson. And defensively, they get to the quarterback. Now, you might ask yourself, will Michigan be able to get to the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line of Washington? And I think they do. I talked about this, maybe 5 or 4 videos back, where Michigan against Ohio State was an interesting conundrum of Michigan versus another offensive line who was highly sought out and ultimately not being that good. They were one of the leaders in pass rush success. What Washington excels in, especially in their pass rush, which makes their offensive line look even better, is Michael Penix's ability to read protections, move protections, and move inside the pocket. Jalen Milroe doesn't have that pocket awareness, something that he's still going to learn and have to work out. But Michael Penix, obviously, future top 10 draft pick is vastly different. Just looking at a sheer number standpoint, it's number 3 versus number 8 in EPA margin, Michigan being number 3 and Washington being number 8. Defensive success rate, it's number 5 versus number 99, Washington being number 9. Offensive success rate, number 9 for Michigan, with Washington being number 5, the clear advantage offensively. I just couldn't imagine a world where this Michigan team loses. But at the same time, that doesn't make me say I'm confident in laying 4 points with Michigan, and I'm not confident enough in betting Washington for them to do this all over again. Clearly, both Texas and Alabama, the losers in their semifinal playoff matches, had their flaws. And those flaws were exploited. There's a reason why Michigan and Washington are both undefeated. There's a reason why both teams were put through the gauntlet of playing tough teams. Washington having to play Oregon twice, dismantling USC, and I don't want to call them tough, but they did go to Beaver Stadium and take down Oregon State, And then we had Michigan, had to play the Buckeyes, had to play Penn State, and of course had to play the SEC champions. So both did their dirty work throughout the season and both earned the right to be here. I lean Michigan, but where I really want to bet is in the prop market. There were some props that were kind of interesting. I know Dylan Johnson hurt himself so bad he had to be taken off the field in that Washington game. I would have, looked to see his under, but I'm not going to play it. That might hurt Washington's run game, which makes me think they're going to pass the ball a little bit more. Michigan has probably the best secondary in the country, right? And when I mean best secondary, I mean overall play. If we take individual talent, obviously having 2 All-Americans at Alabama is a different story, but just overall play, Michigan has the best secondary in the country. Well, there's a guy that I'm betting against that secondary, and that's Rome Odunze. Yes, Scott Van Pelt. Rome Odunze is how you pronounce it. I know you had a brain fart, so we're not holding it to you. Over 89.5 receiving yards. Let's talk about his ADOT first. 15.6 ADOT. I think Washington's going to have to score points in this game because their defense is not strong enough to let them go in this shootout, or let this go in this low scoring, grinded out game where they're running the ball a ton. He's eclipsed the 100-yard mark 5 straight games. He's gone over 110 out of the 14. And then we say, well, Michigan, they're great. Their defense is so strong. They're holding opponents to 150 pass yards per game. Held Jalen Milroe to 116. Well, they're going to force feed Rome Odunze. How Washington under Caleb DeBoer are much better, or at least better play calling than Alabama is. If the run game's not working or your quarterback's not having a ton of success, they make the pass game the extension of the run. So they're going to get the ball in the hands of Rome Odunze at the line of scrimmage, and they're going to take their shots downfield. So that's play number 1. Yes, I'm coming with a double dose for this one. Play number 2, Blake Corum over 106.5 yards. Guys, I try not to do this in shows where I go and bet a guy who doesn't have a big history of clearing these lines. But I think this is going to be a close contest. He had a couple games where they played like an ECU, a UNLV, even Bowling Green, Nebraska, where he didn't need Minnesota. Let me just go down the list of every team they played. He didn't need to clear this line because they were dominating. But yes, he's only hit this once so far this season. Why I like this, though, is we talk about Washington's defensive success rate, 99th in defensive success rate, 99th. I'll let you guess what their rush success rate. It's not 100 and it's not 102. It is 125th in the country in defensive success rate against the run. Blake Corum is going to be fed the ball. If you like Blake Corum to score a touchdown, 2 touchdowns, sure. He scored a touchdown against Alabama. But before that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight games, he scored multiple touchdowns. And I think that's going to happen in this game as well. So if you want to get spicy, you want to knock it down to 80, you do 80 and a touchdown. Or you can do 80 and 2 touchdowns and get paid a little bit more. I'm just keeping it 106.5 and a half. For the over. And why I like this, outside of not hitting regularly and also not and Washington having terrible run defense, is the dude's a beast. He used to live at this number. In a big game on a fast field, I think I like overs here. And ultimately, I think Michigan's going to hoist the national championship. In my NBC Sports preseason preview, they were my choice to win. And I don't see anything different. Number 1 team in the country, best defense, really good offensive line, smart quarterback, good run game, everything you need to be successful. So those are my plays. Rome Odunze over 89.5 receiving yards, and Blake Corum over 106.5 rushing yards. I went ahead and I played him on Chalkboard as well. If you take Chalkboard, use promo code BRAD. If you take that leg with any of the flash picks, it's unlimited. So I've just been adding it over. I like both these guys to go over their number. I want to thank our sponsors. First and foremost, goldboys.com and Sleeper Picks. Use promo code GoldBoys. The links will be in the description. Before you guys head out, make sure you smash the like button, rate, subscribe, and comment who you think is going to win the national championship. And remember, gambling should always be fun. So if you have a gambling problem, dial 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm BradThomas, and enjoy the rest of college football season. Take care.